What happens when you have a near-death experience, but you get the message that you're not done yet? How's it going? Jason Croft here, the Credibility Craftsman. Today on the show, we've got Scott Schilling. Scott's an author and speaker and coach, doing great things in this world already. But recently he got a bit of a course correction from God. And Scott listened. He has taken this message and really this near-death experience very seriously. And he's doing something with it. And so I'm not going to go into a big, long intro because Scott's story is amazing on its own. So I want you to dig in and not only enjoy his story and understand that, but we dig into what it means to truly find significance in this world. Getting beyond goals and success and achievement and doing all those things with this underlying foundation of significance and how you can go about doing that. So let's jump in with Scott Schilling. Well, I am so glad to have you on the show. I had the good fortune to meet Scott, I guess originally months and months ago at Charles Horton's event, The Boardroom.
Right.
And reconnected here recently at Joe's Place.
That's right.
That's what we should name Genius Den, rename Genius Den, Joe's Place.
It's a great name for it.
Man.
Genius Den? I mean, what's that?
I know.
Well, it is actually a Genius Den. But it should be Joe's Place.
It
should be Joe's Genius Den.
We're helping you, Joe.
That's right.
We're working for you. But yeah, this is a blast. So Scott and I got to connect here recently and really dig into what each other is about. And I'm so glad to have you on the show and let people know some of your specialties in life and what you're known for, good and bad.
Good and... You're assuming there's bad. Come on, what's that? I'm very fortunate. Speaker, trainer, author, business coach. I've had TV shows in the past, radio shows, a variety of different things. So I've been very fortunate to do a variety of different things that ultimately are all designed to do one thing, and that's to serve others and provide results in their business, in their world, and in their life.
That's great. And how does that manifest itself?
Well, it could be a lot of different things. It could be, I've got coaching clients so that I help guide them on a path very similar. As I say in many presentations, I've had 19 mentors that I've written checks to or I've worked with closely. If I want an area of expertise, go to who's already been there and done that. It only makes sense. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. People have already accomplished many of the things you want to accomplish. Simply model what they've done to get there.
Absolutely.
So just as I've gone out to seek other mentors to help me learn the areas that might have been deficient for me, I encourage other people to do that. They'll retain me, and I'll coach them on that path. I've got coaching clients that have a desire to become professional speakers. So we're working on that path. I've got clients who have desires to write a book. So we're working on that path. Sometimes it's writing a book and speaking.
And those are areas that you have done a tremendous amount in both of those.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I've done well over 2,000 events. I've probably spoken to 1 million people at live events.
Wow.
I've written 12 books or been part of 12. I've either written my own or been part of 12 books. I'm in the process of writing the 13th, which will be the lucky number 13. It's going to be the one that I think is really going to make a powerful impact in a lot of people's lives because it's about significance.
Yeah. And
so lots of things going on. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I definitely want to dig into that one because there's so much around that one. Both in the subject matter of the book to how you arrived at it and just your whole path with that. So I definitely want to dig in with that. But I love the approach that, and there's a lesson here in the fact that the coach is getting coached.
Always.
Yes, always. Exactly. It's amazing to me. Well, it's amazing to me when people don't go seek out a coach in any area, but it's really amazing when a coach or a trainer is offering that service and has never bought that themselves. You know?
Exactly. But Michael Jordan was a pretty good player. Would you agree?
Yes.
Why do you have a coach? He was a pretty good player.
Exactly.
Because a coach can spot things. He can find the blind spots. He or she can find the blind spots. They can see things that you can't see. They've had experiences. Napoleon Hill said it in Think and Grow Rich. You mastermind naturally, even if it's a one with another. Mastermind is when two or more minds come together, a third and greater mastermind is created.
Yeah.
So just having somebody to ask questions to run things through, to have another piece of input is so important.
Absolutely. And I honestly, I had to. So I've always believed in getting a coach and being coached, but it wasn't until actually having my first coaching mentor and guiding coach, AJ Amix, who's been on the show. He's fantastic, and he's opened up the doorway to so many areas for me. But there was also an insight that I had to get on the other side of it, realizing that I had something to offer folks who, again, in that sort of Michael Jordan analogy, who are way better than I am in their chosen field, in their expertise. But me as someone, when I work with them on video, I can sit across from them and go like, I know what you're going for here.
Yeah, just
but
not coming.
If we just tweak your message this way, and it makes all the difference. So it's an amazing thing on both sides.
I share that a lot, actually, that a 7-year-old can mentor a 10-year-old. Because there's something specific to their experience at that time, at that moment, that they have, that just because you're older doesn't mean you have it. One of the advantages of being more mature, that's code word for old.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, I know. You're being nice, and I do appreciate that. You'll get there. Anyway, one of the advantages of life experience is the wisdom that comes from it. And it's really part of why we're put here in the first place, I believe, is to experience life fully, the good, the bad, the ugly. Anybody who says they've never had anything bad happen to them isn't living. I've had lots of bad stuff happening to me. It's not a matter of bad stuff happening. It's a matter of what you do with that bad stuff.
Absolutely.
Once it happens, do you use it to inspire you? Do you use it to move forward? Do you use it to learn from? In fact, I teach the concept of ask yourself 5 questions in every situation to turn it into a learning event. What's the lesson? What's my gift? What did I do to create it? How would I modify it next time to make it better? How will this serve me the rest of my life? The fact of the matter is, stuff is going to happen. We're in life. But use that stuff to be a learning event and just say thank you.
Yes, instead of letting it defeat you and tell yourself a story now
That's
why
right.
you can't do something. I think that's great.
What story do you make out of the situation? You know, I mean, I completely severed my Achilles tendon and was told I'd never walk right again. I'd never play sports again. Now, whose reality was that? That was the doctor's. I said, Doc, sew me up, I'll be back. I had 4 NFL tryouts. I won 10 racquetball championships. I've played many, many sports since. I don't walk with a limp that they predicted.
Wow.
The fact of the matter is, did I accept their version of what it was going to be, or did I create my own?
Yeah,
We all have that.
It's so tough to do, and I think that's why stories like what you just relayed are so important to keep feeding ourselves. But how do you do that in the moment when it's a doctor that's telling you this news, or somebody in your industry that knows better? How do you have that insight to keep yourself on your path?
Well, for me, I'm going to play the spiritual card. And the fact of the matter is, I truly believe God's plan and timing is perfect. Now, it's not for me to convert you to my belief. I believe it's my job to convert you to have a belief. You choose what your belief is.
Sure.
if you want to talk about mine, we can do that another time. But so I believe God's plan and timing is perfect. Well, I can't believe God's plan and timing is perfect, and this negative event shouldn't have happened.
Interesting.
I can believe one or the other.
Yeah.
So that's where I created the 5 questions after a potentially negative event to turn it into a learning event.
Yeah, because there must be something to pull out. How do you do it? So, and that's those
exactly.
5, yeah.
So again, if I understand all things work for my good, and it's like you and I meeting. We met months and months and months and months ago, and yet we never really struck up a conversation or a friendship to the level that we have now. And now is the right time.
Right.
God's plan and timing is perfect.
Yeah.
Either I wasn't ready for this, or you weren't ready for this, or the audience wasn't ready for this earlier.
Yeah.
But now's the time.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, how do you pop up and think that you wake up, you're grateful for everything that happens, you're grateful for the fact that you have the ability to learn something from it and go from there.
I like that. I like that a lot. So I really want to dig in because I want to spend a lot of this time on what you have coming up and what's gotten you there. I mean, there's a lot to learn out there from books that you have out, and again, so many speaking areas and so many companies that you've helped. But you're really on this path now for this latest book to really be something bigger than you've ever done before. And I think the subject matter, both the subject matter of the book and the story that's brought it to life are both really powerful. I'd love for you to share with the audience, if you will.
Well, sure, I'd love to. So, about December 8th, 2014, I was going to a speaking event, and I was balancing a box of books on my knee that are available through Amazon, by the way.
Nice. Now that's how you plug. That's nice.
And anyway, I went to the back, and it was a super cold day here in Dallas. We don't have that many, but it was about 18 degrees. And so when I flipped open the back hatch of my SUV, the cylinders didn't hold. In other words,
that are holding up the
right.
hatch.
So I flipped open the back hatch. I ducked underneath it quickly because I was going to put the box of books that are available on Amazon in the back of the truck. And the back deck came down and smacked me in the back of the head.
Right.
Man, it about cold cocked me. And again, I had a speaking event I had to go to, so I finished, I went and did my thing. But I had a headache. I mean, well, at first it almost cold cocked me, but then I kind of shook it off. But I had about a 2 or 3 on a scale of 10 headache. 4 days later, flew out to LA to work with a client doing some infomercials. But I still had this headache. I mean, it had been going on. And, but I'm a guy, right? So what do? Nothing. You ignore it.
Right.
Well, another 4 days later, I was walking along, and all of a sudden, my legs stopped, and I was standing on 2 tingling stumps.
Oh my gosh.
What had happened, we came to find out, is when the back deck hit me in the back of the head, it dissected a vessel in my brain, which means the inner and outer walls separated, and there was a flap, and it closed down long enough to pull a bunch of blood, throw it, and all of a sudden I was in the middle of a full-blown cerebellum stroke.
Oh my goodness.
And for those who understand the cerebellum, it's responsible for speech, memory, fine motor skills, walking, talking, vertigo, balance. By the grace of God, I walk away with nothing. Now, that was after going to the emergency room, 6 days of intensive care. There's all sorts of stories there. But the realization is I was saved. I truly believe spiritually God saved me. And by doing that, it's like now the next thing you do is, so what's next?
Yeah.
What just saved me for? So again, when you have something like this happen, it's like, I'm using my own rules. God's plan and timing is perfect.
Right.
Why did this happen? What am I supposed to learn from it? What am I supposed to do? And what it really called to my attention is that it's no longer about success. Success is the achievement of a goal. And what tends to happen when we grab for success is then once we get the success, we achieve that goal, we're on a hamster wheel. Let's get another success, and another success,
Sure.
and another success. And well, when is it a success? Right? When have we had enough successes, quote unquote? Rather, it's become about significance. And significance is the meaning behind the achievements of the goals.
Okay.
So again, significance to me is far more valuable in our pursuits. What's the meaning? The significance is truly the movement towards meaning.
Okay.
It's having meaning behind it all. You know, I mean,
And it's not that goals are bad. You shouldn't have something to go forward, but it's that underlying foundation behind them on the why of why
right.
you're going after them, correct?
I mean, how many people do you know, and everybody out there, you know somebody who has achieved greater wealth or greater riches than they ever dreamed in their life, and they're absolutely miserable, or they're happier than they could possibly be with their family, but they're broke and they can't do anything with their family, right?
Yeah.
You tend to get one side or the other. And so really what the book Significance, the movement towards meaning is about is how do we apply that meaning? How do we really live with meaning in our life and live our legacy as opposed to just try to accumulate stuff to leave our legacy?
Gotcha.
You know, you didn't have to ask what Mother Teresa's legacy was. She lived it every day, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
she was out there working with underprivileged or misfortunate, and you didn't have to go, gosh, what's the meaning behind what she does? You knew it.
Sure.
You saw it. Well, what if we all did that? Just think what we could get to.
Oh yeah. So how do you get to that? How do you first find it, or is it a finding, or is it something else? And then also, how do you exude that the way she did?
Well, it's a combination of things. I think first of all, you find it. You get to a point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. You get to a point where you look and you evaluate and you say, I'm just not fulfilled. Is there more, right? But ultimately, then it becomes a choice. So you choose to take actions that are different. And I think the fact of the matter is that what would you really want to be? What would you really want to do? And the way that you achieve it and the way that you'll find it, I truly believe, is that when you're present, when you are absolutely present in whatever you're doing, you know it.
Sure.
You're fulfilled. I mean, if you...
And in that moment, you're going to find significance.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
So it's purposeful imbalance to be balanced. Meaning there's 7 areas of life, our spiritual side, our professional side, our physical side, our financial side, social, contribution, personal. Well, if I'm working to nurture relationships in my social side, when I'm with my family, my friends, my this, my that, be there.
Gotcha.
Don't be looking at your phone every 5 seconds. Right. Don't be, I said this in a training I did the other day, just because you get a text message does not obligate you to either read or answer it immediately.
Right.
Because now you've made something else more important than the presence that you were in, right? You got distracted.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're doing this in a car. Isn't it interesting, right? But so many more accidents are happening because of distracted driving.
Sure.
Not because they're doing
shows,
they're doing TV shows, but because they're looking down to text.
Watching TV shows.
They're watching TV shows, right? So
don't watch this
yeah,
while you drive.
That's right. So the point is that significance is really about being purposefully imbalanced, playing full out, being present wherever your feet are. Be there.
Gotcha.
If you're there, be there.
So how is this idea? So this idea has come in, and that inspiration, like here it is. This is what I've got to get out to the world. What was that next step from this? Like, was it immediately, okay, this is a book, and I've got to go write this? Was that the immediate thought?
It didn't start as a book. It started actually as a presentation.
Okay.
I did it as a presentation to a group. The concept of balance and then purposeful imbalance came, and so I actually turned it into a PowerPoint. I made the presentation to an audience. The audience ate it up.
Nice.
And so...
I hate to interrupt you.
Sure.
Can you clarify for me, though, that the balance thing again? I know you mentioned it, you said it, but can you give me an example of being purposefully out of balance to find balance? What's an example of that?
Well, I think that the key example is, if you're with your family, be with your family. Don't be thinking of work. Don't be working.
So in other words,
I mean, when you're there, be there.
Sure. But how is that? So you're out of balance in the sense that you don't have a balanced amount of time spent in each of these places. You're going to be out of balance in one area or the other, but you're going to be balanced because you're there 100%.
Right. Think of it being one way that I show it in presentations. Think of concentric circles. 0 being the middle, 10 being the outside ring. We tend to, we're a 2 spiritually, and we're a 5 professionally, and we're a 3 physically, and we're a 12 socially.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody says, let's go drink a beer. Man, we not only do that, we do that with gusto, right?
Right.
But the fact is, so we think this jagged, if we would do, match all those points, we think that's balance. We're living in all 7 areas. But we're not. We're not doing any of the areas. So the concept is really be a 10. If I'm here talking with you, talk with you.
Yeah.
And then when we're done, go be a 10 somewhere else.
Gotcha.
Right?
And that's finding the ultimate balance. I got you.
Right. It's the playing full out. How many times we're just not giving it our all.
Yeah.
Right? One of the things I say in one of the presentations is a little boy was looking at his dad one day, and the dad was kind of, his eyes darting around and doing everything, and the little boy was really trying to have a tender moment, and the dad was obviously not all there, and the little boy said, "Daddy, listen with your eyes."
Yeah.
Right?
It's powerful.
Listen with your eyes. Look into my eyes.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I'm talking about. Be there when you're there. Right? Like when we're doing this, do this. Don't worry about the next phone call, the next this, the next. If you're going to do this interview let's make this. What you're doing here is so tremendously valuable to the audience, bringing topic experts in and giving people something so that they make sure that they have their takeaways.
Yep.
That
Absolutely.
This is valuable. You do a great job of this.
Well, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I appreciate that. So you had this presentation, people love it, responded through the roof, and where do you go from there?
Well, then you go and you expand it.
Okay.
First of all, you transcribe it, and you go, hey, this could be the starts of a really nice book. And then you go to expand it, and you do more research. And what did the audience respond to positively? What did the audience kind of go, right? Take that out, modify this, push it and impress it, do it again. And just keep on testing. And again, what I'm finding as the more people I talk to about significance, they're like, yeah, oh my God, you're onto this. How can you serve me with this message? And so that's what it really comes down to is again, I'm a guy. You're a guy, I'm a guy. We're guys. Now, it doesn't mean I haven't been blessed to do some really cool things. Everybody has been. But the point is, I'm a guy who is observing what's happened in his life and recognizing that a lot of those things that have happened in my life have happened in other people's lives. And I can serve them and help give them guidance by what I've already been through. You don't want to sever your Achilles tendon. I can assure you of that. You don't want...
I do not.
No, you don't want some of the events that have happened in my life to happen in your life. So if I can take those, capsulize those, and share them with you to do you good so you can do more good faster, that makes me feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting I'd love your perspective on, because this thought came to me as you shared your story when we met for coffee last week, and was that just last week?
Yeah, it was.
Ago. Oh my goodness. And you made a similar statement, which was regarding getting hit in the head and all, like, you don't want to go through what you went through in order to get to that realization. And I think you're right. I don't.
No, you're not. Don't think. You know I'm right on that one.
But at the same time, talk to me about what it has given you, though, in terms of certainty. And as much as painful as it was to get there, talk to me about that certainty that you have now as to what's next, what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, the certainty comes from faith. The certainty comes from belief. But the certainty also comes from a realization that when you have enough people say, you shouldn't have lived through this, or you shouldn't be the way you are, or man, I can't believe there's no residual issues.
Yeah.
If that doesn't confirm belief in a higher source, I don't know what will. You're not paying attention. So the certainty comes from the fact is I take no credit for the fact I was saved, but I take credit from the fact that I've observed that it had to be my highest power, my higher power that did that. And then if that was happening that way, which I believe it has, what was I saved for? No, it's not always about good works, but when the opportunity exists, use it. Take it, right?
Yeah.
So it is about good works. It's about, I was saved to share the message and serve more people. We've taken and we've done multiple galas for the American Heart and Stroke Association and raised hundreds of thousands of dollars because we were able to use the event to call attention and awareness. So let's get back to a business training principle. Growth equals awareness plus inspired action. Well, we've raised awareness as to the hazards of stroke. We've raised awareness as to how to modify your diet to stay away from heart and stroke issues. And because and then we took an inspired action to do that at a gala, we grew funding to try to eliminate those things.
Yeah.
Right? So the fact of the matter is, you take the things in your life and use them as stepping stones into a place of service. It's amazing. I come out of the Ziegler camp. You can have anything in life you want when you simply help enough other people get what they want.
Absolutely.
Man, when you got that, that's your foundation.
And so how are you approaching now this book differently than you have any of your others? Because this isn't your typical, okay, well, now I'm going to do this and this and this, like you've done before.
Well, most of my other books, let's put it that way, I've pretty much written and just gone forward with it, and had some pretty good concepts, and had some editors and had some other folks work on it. But this one, I got it to a certain point, and it's really interesting. It's like, it's sort of done. Well, maybe it's not done. Maybe it's 2/3 done, right? Because the topic is so important that I continue to do research. I continue to test. I continue to talk to people. I hear things, comparison, contrast. Success is an outward in thing. Significance is an inward out thing. So all of a sudden I've been working on comparison, contrasts of success and significance. Just to everything we can to get people to think. Again, it's a tremendously important topic from the standpoint of we have such an interesting dichotomy today with millennials, and so many people are giving millennials such a hard time. And what's interesting is they're not interested in success.
No.
They're interested in significance. And yet we've got people giving them a hard time because they want significance. They want meaning. That's not a bad thing.
Right, exactly.
So if I can help more people understand significance and help people understand why millennials want, we can actually get rid of some stuff that's going on there too.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, and that was
you just don't realize how many different areas this all touches.
Well, and you show some light into that on kind of both sides of that spectrum,
right?
From millennials to the other end of the spectrum as well, which is going to touch and really strike a nerve, I think, as well.
It's absolutely it absolutely has struck a nerve. Millennials don't want to spend 10, 20, 30, 40 years of their lives getting their butt kicked to try to finally figure out it's about significance. They've actually they accept it. Mm-hmm. It's about significance. It's about meaning.
Now it's just a matter of how do I
get there?
Manifest
well, here we got this entire group of people who have had their butts kicked, finally figured out it's about significance, have the wisdom, have the desire to share the wisdom. We just got to connect the groups.
And a whole boomer generation
You got a whole group of boomers. You got the generation beyond us. You got the generation between us. That really, we just got to do what we can do to attract those who are supposed to be attracted to this message, to understand that we're all here for the good of each other. And when we lift each other up, we actually all benefit from it.
Absolutely.
Zig said this a long time ago, right? Again, let's go back to it. You can have anything in life you want when you help other people get what they want. It's a servant leadership idea. Yeah. And man, we're at a time where I think not only do we need more leadership on the planet, I think if we can combine that with servant leadership, that's awesome.
Absolutely. And I think the beauty of it is, too, that all of this is not at the expense of that success we keep talking about.
No.
Like you mentioned, this isn't put a dirty word on success and goals and all that. It's the complete opposite of that. It's like the amazing thing is it actually serves all of that.
Well, I think the way it serves success is, quite frankly, we achieve the success and then we don't celebrate it. Again, we're on a hamster wheel. Oh, I got my success. Okay, next. I got my success. Okay, next. I got my... Wait. Smell the roses a little bit. Yeah. So the other side of this is to call attention to the fact that we should be celebrating these successes. We should be honoring these successes. Anything that I can do to help restore dignity, respect, and honor, right? It's because we're in this immediate gratification, me, now society. Pace has gotten so fast. I remember my dad used to, we always talk about, gosh, I'm starting to sound like my dad. And I don't think I'm sounding like my dad, but I remember my dad saying how fast-paced things were. He worked for the same company for 46 years, from the time he was 17 till he was 63. And his last position was electronic data liaison. What that meant is they were going from paper to this new thing called a computer.
Wow. And it was so fast.
And it was, oh my God, it was so fast, but it was so big. It was the whole room. You can't believe how big this computer is, right? And so again, I only say this with technology, with smartphones, again, we stopped looking at them as phones. I remember I got the first Motorola brick. I mean, it was 4.5 pounds. I mean, if you were you didn't get off the call because it was too expensive per minute. It was just too heavy. I mean, it's like, oh my God, it was a workout. You're like, well, have you been lifting? No, I got a cell phone. I mean, it was like, oh my God.
Right.
Now, you can't relate to that. You're too young. But the fact of the matter is,
he doesn't know how old I am.
the fact of the matter is that we've allowed technology to quicken the pace in the wrong areas. A lot of the technology is fabulous. But the one thing is we've taken away some of the sensibilities and some of the really taking time to care for one another and hug one another and just say, it's really funny. I sent out a text yesterday. I said, I just want you to know you're really awesome. I so appreciate you. Just want you to have a big hug from me. And I sent it to about 15 or 16 people. And great answers coming back. It was just a fun thing, right? But one of them said, thank you for this. What prompted you to do it? It's like, you can't just accept that I want to say you're awesome.
Right. Like, wait a second.
Well, and I got in that place where I was just being reflective on how, because of technology, it takes so little to be grateful to people and to appreciate people, and yet
We're still not doing it.
We're still not doing it.
Yep.
Let's get some of that back. Let's serve each other. Anything I can do to serve you. What you're doing here in these messages is so important because you're bringing expertise in a new and unique and novel way to serve the audience.
Certainly.
I'm here to do whatever I can to help.
Certainly. Well, that's awesome. How can people connect with you out there? And
I make it very complex. My website is scottschilling.com. It's my name.
Nice.
SCOTTSCHILLING. And my email, I'd love to, if you've got questions, if you got things, email me. Scott@scottschilling.com.
Perfect.
Again, and people say, do you really give out your email? That's my email address. Why do I give it out? I can only control the outbound. I can't control what happens. My email signature says, please let me know how I can be of service to you.
That's great.
I've had people say, what are you trying to get from me? Nothing. It's an offer. Just
so funny.
Here to serve.
But that's where those are the filters that we have and that we put into place. But that's awesome. I appreciate you. I encourage you all to take him up on that and reach out.
Let's have some fun. Let's go serve some people.
Nice. Scott, thanks so much.
Thank you.
So glad you've been on.
It's awesome. Anytime.
So glad Scott came on to share his story and kind of guide us all into some of those ways that we can go about really finding significance in our lives. And I'm anxious for the book to come out soon and whatever version this is going to be, because it seems to keep getting bigger as the message finds more of an audience going forward. So I think it's fantastic. One of the challenges, honestly, that I see in what Scott is sharing with us in terms of shifting from goal setting to finding significance is that level of, it's like finding your why, finding, what you're doing, but it's taking it a level beyond that. And I really appreciate Scott's clarification in that is, I think we can get stuck a little bit in the finding our why, finding our passion, finding our purpose. And so many of us stop doing anything until we've found that thing, right? And that can be so detrimental and so debilitating. And so what I love about Scott's definition of significance and finding significance is that it's a matter of finding it in the moment, each and every moment, in every activity that you're doing. And ultimately, I think that leads to focusing on that, leads to finding that bigger purpose and that bigger why. But it really starts with each and every moment, whether it's financial, it's with your family, it's expressing your faith, it's fun, all those things. And I think that's a great way to kind of go about that journey and this journey of life, right? I think it's a wonderful way to do that. So please do reach out to Scott, like you mentioned, Scott at scottschilling.com, and leave him a message. Let him know that you saw him on the show and what you thought of the interview. And if you like these, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. And if you're listening out there, like many of our podcast listeners, make sure you subscribe on iTunes. And if you will, leave us a review. It helps us get found by more and more folks. I'm so glad you joined me on the show today. We'll see you next time.
It's Saturday night. It was Saturday night and I'm feeling kinda silly. Winter coat on cause the air was chilly, but I'ma make my way out to the record spot. Gotta find some new breaks for the beats to rock. I gotta come with the flavor like some lifesavers. On now and later's Dr. Beatmaker. If I'm a player, it's like a tape deck. And if you miss the gig, then take a rain check. Stacks of wax piled high to the ceiling. Need a U-Haul truck if I would think about stealing, but it's not my steed, so I commence with the digging, no kidding. Something that'll keep the beats hitting what I'm getting. So much to choose from, bro.